My name is Sarah Jane. I'm the proud sister of two brothers. This is Barry, and our other brother Robert is in Zurich. This is my niece Emily. This is Barry's daughter. And we're here to talk about Mum, and our Mimi. What can I say about Mum? Mum was my favourite person, our favourite person, I think, and the kind of person that you would absolutely want to grow up to be. Mum raised us by herself. She was a lioness. She was incredibly kind, beyond kind, the most selfless person you could ever meet. Incredibly funny and witty, and the most loving mum.
You know, she was an incredible mum to us, obviously, and, you know, as the youngest of three kids herself, she was the big sister to her two elder brothers. And she was just their rock. She was their counsel and everything else, and so many other people's.
I came out to Mum when I was 18, and I think the landscape of Ireland and the landscape of the world for young gay people was very, very different then. It was pre-marriage equality. And Mum's reaction to it, I suppose, was very justified at the time. She was concerned and worried and all that kind of stuff. And I remember talking to, she accepted it, of course, she loved me, and, you know, that never ever changed. And I remember asking her how she kind of, I suppose, came to terms with it, you know, and she said, Sarah, it's a parent's job to move their world for their child, not the other way around.
What was she to you, Lem?
She was a really special person to me, and I miss her a lot. I think we all do.
Yeah.
I remember in the hospice playing Connect 4 with her, and we just had a really good time. It was like she almost forgot how to play. So me and my brother Charlie, we were teaching her again and again and again every time.
Well, she was diagnosed November 17, wasn't it?
Yeah.
Sorry, it was October the 13th, because she had surgery late
yeah.
October.
Yeah.
And then it was really a year, wasn't it, of sort of, she was here and she was in and out of hospital and she was at home and she had great times, and then she'd get she'd take a turn and stuff and she'd be in and out of hospital. And it was very stressful. The worry of that for all of us was hard, because we were looking after her, and Eamon, her partner, was, my God, the amount of care he gave her was unbelievable. I mean, he became her carer, and there was great support around, but I mean, he was front and center on it.
Yeah.
And then obviously as things progressed, talk of the hospice, and that was sort of where we were headed, and I think we all knew that. But I had never had any experience of hospice before. I had all the usual preconceptions around what hospice meant, and it was a place that people went to die. But I mean, from the very moment we arrived and she arrived, that was turned on its head.
That's, I suppose, the great thing about, having so much time with her in the hospice, was you got an awful lot of one-on-one time with her. And she never lost her spirit. She never lost her wit. And the morning that Mum passed away, or the day before, she was very weak and could barely open her eyes. And I put her hand to my face, and without faltering, she said, "My beautiful girl." Yeah. That's the last thing she ever said to me, but it didn't surprise me, because that was Mum.
One day, my mum and my dad and my brother, we all went in to the hospice, and we got her and we put her in a wheelchair and we were scooting her around the whole floor, and it was around Valentine's Day. So we put little bears on her, and she was hiding behind them. And we put her behind a curtain, and my dad lifted up a really heavy pot and put it on her lap.
Potted plant, wasn't it?
Yeah.
Bop, Mum's partner, as we were talking about earlier on, but Bop would arrive in with
Bowie.
Mum's dog, Bowie.
Yeah, Bowie'd get up straight up on the bed. I remember I got a pup when Mum was sick, and I snuck him into the hospital in a backpack to show her. Whereas in the hospice, I was able to walk him in on his lead and think, "Oh, hi fella." And up fella'd get on the bed, and Mum absolutely loved that. And that was another amazing thing. Mum benefited so much from seeing dogs.
But that was it. They were the fun times and the family times, and it lent itself so much to all of that. We all had wonderful times. And she said, I remember, you know, she used to love going around in the wheelchair and having a look at the paintings on the wall. She loved that. And she said to me one day, she said, you know what, from the moment I arrived here, she said, I loved it.
Yeah. The room where she was in St Francis Hospice has a pull-out bed, so we got to have sleepovers, so we got to have like girly pamper nights. I got to bring in a projector and we'd watch like Circle of Friends and A League of Their Own and stuff like that, her favourite films, and we'd have like little nights together. And it was wonderful because it was just me and her, like old times, you know. And we'd get to have the banter and we'd get to, you know, kiss each other goodnight and then we'd both go to sleep. And it was quality time that you couldn't have had anywhere else.
I've never said she died in the hospice. I mean, it happened to be where she passed away.
Yeah.
But I mean, it was very much where she lived. I mean, we had her birthday, your birthday, Rob's birthday, my birthday, all there, you know, and we celebrated them. I mean, the family room, there were parties, we had everything, all of that.
Mum loved music and has encouraged in us you know, an absolute love of music, and, you know, spanning, you know, decades, because obviously Mum loved music that her aunts and Gran would have listened to, you know, so from the 40s and stuff like that. So she had a wide kind of range of taste in music, but one of her favourite bands was Dr. Hook, and one of her favourite songs to kind of bop to was When You're in Love with a Beautiful Woman. And I remember it was shortly before she died and her energy was quite low. We were in her room and my wife said, I'm going to put on music for your mum. And I said, okay. So anyway, she sticks on When You're in Love with a Beautiful Woman. Mum's eyes were closed and she's sitting back in the bed, and all of a sudden her 2 feet start to go like this to the rhythm.
Yeah.
Do you know?
Yeah.
And it was just, it was so part of her, do you know? And her and I used to dance together all the time. The one wonderful thing, and possibly the most wonderful thing about St Francis Hospice, is that it allowed us the time to process what Mum was going through. We were able to be in the room with Mum as she passed on, just us as a family. We were there to kind of, I suppose, tell her she could go, and in a way that was so dignified, was so private, but with so much support. And I can't be thankful enough for that. That's the way that anybody, you know, in that position should go. That's the experience that everybody should have. Just to feel that level of comfort and support. And yeah.